YouTube, this is Noyes of Productions, and welcome to this episode of the Godzilla Vlogs, where we talk about anything and everything Godzilla. Recently, I decided to re-watch, just for shits and giggles, a certain Godzilla fan film called Godzilla Battle Royale, directed by Dubose. I could not help but notice the hatred on that video. Well, not in the video, but in the comic sections, and especially in the like category. This film has quite a few views. It has like 3,000 likes and like 1,000 dislikes, something along those lines. A fan film to me is somebody who just makes something in dedication or a part of a franchise that's not theirs. They make it for absolutely no purpose but for love of that franchise. Now, this also can be said that the films by Patrick Galvin, his stop-motion videos, specifically Godzilla vs. Gamera and his even more ambitious Godzilla vs. Bagan, both are absolutely wonderful, by the way, and both actually really do a great job at being able to portray emotions without there actually being any emotions there. Hope that makes any sense, but those are fan films. I consider those fan films. He has made no money off of those. They were made simply because he loved the franchise. In terms of Godzilla, there are two big fan films that I think of immediately and that I believe most of the internet would agree with. These two Godzilla fan films are Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer, directed by Chris Elcherson, and of course Godzilla Battle Royale, directed by Dubose. I will say this right now, that this video is going to be me defending the very, very ambitious and, in my opinion, really fun film, Godzilla Battle Royale. I know that that is a very controversial film online, but I don't give a crap. I welcome controversy, I like controversy. Hell, Cannibal Holocaust and Caligula are some of my favorite movies of all time. Of course, Godzilla Battle Royale certainly is not on the level of those movies at all. Here's the thing. Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer, I remember when that first came out, and that was like a huge thing, mainly because its use of puppet effects and its use of the fact that they actually had men in suits. Specifically Godzilla and the Kaiju Killer himself. I remember watching that film and being like, this really captures somewhat of the isolation of Godzilla, this movie, because not only is Godzilla in isolation, but also our main human character is in isolation, because he's on this terrible, deformed Earth after some sort of nuclear apocalypse. And that film really captured the essence of Godzilla and the fact that he really is nothing but a walking nuclear bomb. However, when I watched that film, I found myself saying, this isn't really a Godzilla movie. Not because there isn't a kaiju battle or anything like that. Yes, there is a kaiju battle in it and stuff like that, and yes, Godzilla's character is kind of there. But I felt like Godzilla was nothing but really a big gun in the movie. My opinion on when Godzilla's a big gun is kind of mixed, specifically in Godzilla vs. Megalon. Yes, I like that movie because it's fun, but it's not a good movie, if that makes any sense. Not saying that Chris Elcherson's movie is bad, I felt like Godzilla was just a big gun. Though it managed to capture some of the isolation of Godzilla, and it managed to capture, you know, the whole nuclear allegory and how we're destroying the Earth kind of things, to me, that movie did not feel like a Godzilla movie. I guess the closest thing in terms of the Godzilla franchise that I can compare it to is there was a comic book series in which Godzilla was kind of like in a post-apocalyptic world. I think it was Godzilla Cataclysm. It reminded me of that, but even that felt more like a Godzilla story than this. And that was my biggest... I hope you can understand where I'm coming from there. That was my biggest problem with Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer. I still thought it was a pretty good film, very ambitious, and I enjoyed it. But I still was like, I would have changed this, I would have changed that, I would have changed this, I would have added this, I would have made this. I was doing that throughout the entire film. Even when I was smaller, when it came out, I believe in '08, I was like that. Now, when Dubose's Godzilla Battle Royale came out, and I was fortunate because I was friends with Jacob Baker, who did several suits in the movie, I got to see a sneak peek of it before it was actually released, and I was blown away by it, by how much fun I was having with the film, unlike Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer. Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer is an extremely dark and depressing movie, quite frankly. Godzilla Battle Royale was extremely uplifting, it was extremely fun, and it was kick-ass. Kind of the total polar opposite of Godzilla x the Kaiju Killer. And apparently that kind of goes into their characters. Billy Dubose kind of likes those kind of Godzilla Final Wars kind of badass kind of monster movies and and Chris Elchison really likes the darker kind of Godzilla movies, and both of them have their pros and cons. But Billy Dubose made this really kick-ass, quite frankly, something that fit the title of Godzilla Battle Royale. That's exactly what it is. And I remember saying to myself, even when I first watched it, and even when I was watching it this recent time, this not only felt like a Godzilla movie, I actually preferred it over the two Godzilla fan films, because I felt like I would pop this movie in more and enjoy it more. I could pop this movie, if I had like a couple of, in fact I actually did this. My mother takes care of children, and when I was on break from my job and everything, I helped her take care of kids. I actually showed her, because there's this kid who absolutely was getting into Godzilla. He loves Ultraman. I got him into Godzilla, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all those movies. He started loving it, and I was like, I'm going to show you a film that my friend made. And we watched Godzilla Battle Royale. And this kid was having the time of his life watching this movie, and so was I. So was I. That's a good thing. I would not be able to show him Godzilla X the Kaiju Killer, because one, I think it's too adult for him, and two, I think it's too dark. It's too dark. He wouldn't understand it. It'd probably actually even scare him. Godzilla Battle Royale is meant for everyone. Because not only that, but I feel like Billy Dubose managed to capture more of the essence of Godzilla than Chris Elchison did. Though Chris Elchison, as I said earlier, managed to capture the nuclear allegories of Godzilla and the nuclear backgrounds of him, Billy Dubose managed to capture some of the other things with Godzilla. Now, I haven't really said this in videos, but I believe that Godzilla is more than just a walking nuclear bomb. He embodies more things than just that. He does have a character, he does have a soul, and that's one reason why I love the Heisei series so much, is because, especially in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, you really see that other side of Godzilla, that he's more than just a walking nuclear bomb. He has a heart, he has a soul, he is a being. And I felt Billy Dubose captured that more in this movie, Godzilla Battle Royale, than Chris Elchison did. And I know these two movies are night and day apart, different from each other. I do. Okay, I do. And I understand that. But I'm speaking about my preference, and I'm defending Godzilla Battle Royale because I believe this movie needs to be defended. Because I genuinely think it's great. I actually think Godzilla Battle Royale, it took many years to make Godzilla Battle Royale. And I believe that even Godzilla Battle Royale is even more ambitious than Chris Elchison's film. And I think it shows, because there are dozens, literally dozens, of monster suits fighting each other. Not just puppets, because you have the Violent Puppet and that thing from the Marvel Godzilla universe, but you have these actual suits, and they're duking it out, fighting each other. That's awesome, okay? You have miniature buildings and everything like that. This isn't like a barren landscape. There's miniature buildings. And not only that, but I even caught the little references that it had. At first, it's got dozens of references. One of my favorite references that are actually in the movie, and I'm not sure who to thank, Jacob Baker or Billy Dubose. Either way, I thank you for this, because I was like, I was like a little kid watching it, is when Godzilla is breathing his atomic breath towards Queen Ghidorah. It curves upwards, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, it's like Destroy All Monsters. I actually really enjoyed that. That was a good reference. The film is just full of references. And another thing that I really like about that is that, you know, this movie is nothing but one giant battle. Hence why the title is Godzilla Battle Royale. This movie isn't meant to have a deep, dark, psychological plot, like Chris Elchison's movie. Chris Elchison's movie was meant to have that deep psychological plot. Unfortunately, I felt because it had that dark kind of psychological plot, it sort of overshadowed the character that is Godzilla. This movie focused on the battle and focused on what was happening. It takes place over the course of one night. It didn't need to be deep. It didn't have to be. And I mean, sure, the acting is, quite frankly, bad. Really bad. No offense, Billy, if you're watching this. But it still managed to capture more of the things that I remember so much about Godzilla than Chris Elchison's movie did. Chris Elchison's movie was like taking Godzilla and going to the extreme right with it. Like something completely new, something completely dark, almost like a Fallout kind of universe, but with Godzilla. Again, kind of parallel to Godzilla Cataclysm, which came out a couple years ago. Well, Billy Dubose's Godzilla really captured the Showa era quite well, where there's an alien invasion, there's monsters everywhere, lots of explosions, so many explosions. And because of that, I felt like the movie was way more entertaining. Now that being said, I feel like a hypocrite because I'm like, I do love deep psychological movies. However, when it comes to this fan film, it's easier for me to just kind of sit back and watch this movie and really enjoy it. And I've said this before, and I've said this earlier, and I'll say it again. Godzilla is more than just, you know, a walking nuclear bomb. He has a heart, he has a soul. And again, the Heisei series really captured it. Son of Godzilla really captured that. And Billy Dubose actually captured that pretty damn well, that there's more to Godzilla than just a walking nuclear bomb. I liked how Billy Dubose kind of moved his suit around and made it, you realize, yeah, this is actually really cool. He's thinking and everything like that. He did that with all these monsters, and I really applaud him for that. Something that I felt was missing in Godzilla X the Kaiju Killer. This film really had great characterization of the monsters. I know it's a reference to the Avengers, but I love the scene where Godzilla and Mechagodzilla lock eyes after they just defeated this monster, and suddenly Godzilla punches Mechagodzilla. A little moment like that, even though it was kind of a reference to the Avengers, was a little nice moment that was lacking in Chris Elchison's movie. These monsters were the characters, and that was actually even more of something that the Showa era did quite well. Recently I did, for a Shiro Honda-thon, I did an audio commentary for the Japanese version of War of the Gargantuas, Plug. And I talked about how Takashi Kimura, the writer of that movie, knew where to focus. He knew that the human characters were not what we come to see these movies for. He knew that we didn't really necessarily care about the human characters. I mean, having good human characters helps, for sure. But he knows that we're not here to watch this. We're here to watch those movies for the monsters, and he knew that. So what did he do? He focused on making these kaijus the true three-dimensional, the true characters of the story. As a result, the characters you analyze in that movie and you study and you scrutinize are not the humans. They are the kaijus, Gaira and Sanda. In Godzilla Battle Royale, though nothing is quite as deep, definitely not, as War of the Gargantuas, it's the monsters that carry the movie. It's not the human character. The human characters basically progress the kind of small plot that there is in the film. The monsters, however, have the character, the soul of the film, which I think captures the essence of what a Godzilla movie is. Now, again, a prime example, Godzilla movies can have great human plots as well. For example, the original Godzilla, that had a great human drama involved with it, but also that movie managed to capture a character with Godzilla. At the very end, when Godzilla is dying, we feel bad for Godzilla. But what Billy Dubose did was manage to focus on the monsters, which is even more of something that a Godzilla film would do, and especially a Showa-era Godzilla film would do. And I applaud him for doing that. And in the process, and the hell that he went through making this movie, and the hell of production, the hell with the people who were involved with the movie, him, Jacob Baker, all the people who worked on this film, I applaud them for doing it. That's another thing that I will also say that I admire about Godzilla Battle Royale, is that Billy Dubose had so much working against him. I know that feeling. And the fact that Billy Dubose had everything writing against him making this, and he went through so much hell to make it, because he wanted to make it, is really admirable. I know that's kind of meta-thinking the movie. I know that just because you like the behind-the-scenes story doesn't mean that it's still a good movie. I know that. However, the fact that it's a fan film, you can't really judge it on merits of like an actual theatrical film. The same with Chris Elchison's movie. And the fact that this movie was made at all is a testament to Billy Dubose, a testament to Jacob Baker, a testament to all those people who, quite frankly, made the movie as good as it was and worked on the movie, period. Even if you don't like the movie itself, I hope you can at least admire the ambitions of these people. And quite frankly, how can you top the fact that Godzilla Battle Royale has a cameo by Akira Takarada? But Billy Dubose had so much writing against him between production problems. He only had like a week to shoot some things, then he'd have to wait a year to shoot these other things, and then he'd find another suit that wants to be in it, he'd throw it in there. Problems editing the damn thing. This film is so visual effects heavy. Unlike Chris Elchison's movie, where it's actually pretty minimalistic, the effects, this movie is so visual effects heavy, and I know some of them are kind of laughably bad. Sorry, Billy, but they are. Each shot has some kind of composition in it, and it almost killed his computer and everything like that. When I made Compound of Chaos, The last film in the Zeke trilogy, Plug Plug, you can watch it on AMP Network. The production of that movie was such a hell that I actually said to myself, I don't want to make movies anymore. That was just miserable. And when I was part of the Sons of Serizawa, I said that to them as well. And they were like, well, do whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay. But then, lo and behold, I got that message from Jacob Baker saying, here you go, here's the movie. You can watch it before everyone else. And I'm still extremely thankful for him for doing that. And I watched it, and I was like, who is Billy Dubose? Who is this guy that made this movie? And Jacob started telling me about him, and Jacob started, telling me about the hell and the making of the movie, and what he went through, and all the problems, but yet he still made it. Suddenly I realized, my God, I still want to make movies. Quite frankly, if it wasn't for this movie, Godzilla Battle Royale, and I mean that, I wouldn't have made Which Way They Walk. I wouldn't be still making movies. I wouldn't really even be talking in front of a camera right now. I wouldn't be working on the Godzilla saga. I just would have stopped, and I probably would be working in a supermarket somewhere my entire life. I know that sounds really silly, but Compound of Chaos really killed me inside. The hell of the making of that movie, and the hell of working with those people. And I know it's just as much my fault as it is theirs. This isn't me passing on the blame or anything. But when I finished watching Godzilla Battle Royale, I said I want to make movies. And when I was at G-Fest this year, when Billy Dubose had a panel, I told him that. I told him that you made me want to continue to make movies, and I thank him extremely well for that. And if he's watching this, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I thank you so much for making me want to continue making movies. Thank you. And because of that experience, and because of how I felt at that moment, I will always hold Godzilla Battle Royale in a very high light. Thank you, Billy Dubose, for being able to do that, and thank you, Billy Dubose, for basically making me want to continue. This is very personal, I know. But it was Godzilla Battle Royale that made me say I'm going to go to film school and I'm going to make movies, as well as study business. So, thanks again, Billy. And yes, I would recommend watching Godzilla Battle Royale with all my heart. My friends and I actually watched the movie together, and we all had a blast watching it. I want Billy Dubose to know that despite all the hate that's making this movie, I know that there's been a lot of hate going on, and I know that like you've said on your Facebook that you don't want to go to panels anymore or anything like that. Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. They are the dark pit of the Godzilla franchise. They are the dark pit of the Godzilla fan base. They're no better than Sonic fan bases. Don't listen to them. As far as I'm concerned, you made one hell of a good movie. A very entertaining movie, and one that actually inspired me to keep going. And for that, I will always defend your movie, and for that, I will always defend Godzilla Battle Royale, and for that, I will always promote it. Well, that being said, go on Facebook, like AN Productions for all up-to-date information about what I am doing and up-to-date information on Which Way They Walk. Stay tuned for Which Way They Walk, which by the time this is released, I don't know if Which Way They Walk would have been out already, but if so, do watch that movie or buy the DVD. Go on Facebook, like the Godzilla Saga for all up-to-date information on my book series, in which are getting very close to being done. I had a little bit of a writer's block, but now I'm out of it, and I'm going like I'm bad out of hell. And hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell me what you think of Godzilla Battle Royale. Am I retarded? Am I a genius? I don't care. Just tell me what you think. I'd love to hear all your comments. And in the end, this is Adam Noyes of AN Productions saying, go watch Godzilla Battle Royale.